I don't at all. It's the shots are months apart, aren't they?
Yeah.
Some of them are literally. Some of them are 2 months apart.
Yeah.
Literally in scenes. I mean, there's a big sequence at the end that we'll talk about. I guess
That's
when
me
we
kissing
get
Billy
there.
Piper.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Completely unscripted. They just
I know.
improvised
Just did
this.
it.
She just couldn't help herself.
I love your look here. It's just wonderful. Terribly funny.
Because it's funny talking about it. So when you look at this episode, because we were still creating a new Doctor here. It's like we're so far into it now that we forget.
It's true.
As we speak, we're filming the last episodes, and so there was a lot of me sitting. There was a lot of. I like the fact that he's a doctor in this episode. He goes to a hospital and he is a doctor.
Yeah.
That was part of the point
Yes.
of it. But again, and you forget to, especially to a young audience, you are still a brand new Doctor.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's touching all the bases sort of stuff. There's a case and there's a lot of action. There's
Yeah.
comedy for you as well. You get possessed by Cassandra. And then there's fury. I especially love that scene you do with Novice Haim, where you get
the
furious.
moral indignation and all that.
Yeah, so, but again,
Very
so it's
much
like, I mean, I think almost every episode you tend to get a very full range of the Doctor because he has to go through the come up, but it's especially important here, and I always like making him an action hero because I don't think in the old days you couldn't be. It's like all you could do was run between 3 sets, so we actually can make him more of an action hero now, so he's not just all words, and that makes it all so much more harder to shoot. It's like you're not just talking and you're running up and down lift shafts and stuff like that and looking at things like this, and it's a nightmare.
This was all created in it.
Yeah, that was all
A
CGI.
computer,
But
obviously,
this-
because that all we had was the
middle
row of
tier.
one, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And where they came down the stairs then, and all of this sequence is filmed in the paper mill, which was where we went to back in episode 1. It's where the nesting consciousness lived under the London Eye. It's the same location,
I think it
different
shows.
parts of it.
Makes me shivers. As you come down the stairs, just
It
that shot
does.
as you come down the
Does,
stairs, I go,
doesn't
ouch.
it?
That's slightly the same location.
This bit really bothered me. I remember I talked to you about it. I remember having a long discussion with James Hawes, the director, as well. That the fact that I open it, we see this person in despair, and I say, I'm sorry, and I close it again. It bothered me at the time. I watch it now and think, no, that makes absolutely perfect sense.
No, and because you have to see. It's hard because you have to see the next patient to realise that they're all the same. That could be one person with that disease.
Yeah.
It's the scale of it.
In context, it doesn't bother me. I remember, but at the time, it really
You were young
concerned
then,
me.
David.
I was
You were
young.
I imagine that they're in a life
Hopeful.
support system as well, and
Yeah.
you might think that.
This is
Yeah.
one shot that was picked up months later. This one.
Yes,
here.
it is.
Is it?
You can see my hair is a little bit shorter.
Yeah,
If you're really paying attention.
I've never noticed that.
Nah.
It's that funny.
they're great, those shots.
Beautiful. Look at
Fantastic.
that.
Completely
Yeah.
CGI.
It's just the camera move. They're such good directors at the mill. It
Yes,
gives that
they
so
are.
much movement. And I love you in the scene, David Tennant. I think you're I love you
Thank
in all your
you.
scenes.
Thanks.
I love this one though. I think it's so. Because Novice Haim is so lovely at the same time.
Yeah.
And,
She's so genuine in what she's saying, isn't she?
I think it's important to find where the Doctor's boundaries are, though, aren't they? And when somebody breaches them, he is absolutely unforgiving about that.
yes, because they were getting on, weren't they? Upstairs,
Yeah,
the Doctor
yeah.
and Novice Haim. They were.
Yeah.
They were friends. And you've just been upstaged by Billy Piper, frankly. I'm saying
Look
that.
at Billy Piper at your shoulder.
It's
there.
actually as an apology, David. Look at her. Look at
Mugging away!
Look at the great vamp. She's going, no, I'm being so we want to make it, honestly. Look at her. I've never actually done that before, stopped and watched her.
Look at those whiskers. The best whiskers.
Whisker alert. Do you
I
remember?
don't know, Whisker Watch.
Whisker
You said,
Watch.
now, Phil, you've got to be on Whisker Watch.
They said as the master knows, I said, if one of those whiskers is bent, the whole thing is ruined. And Neil Gordon's like, Whisker Watch. We'll be on Whisker
Neil
Watch.
Gordon's team, though, are fastidious and
Yes,
brilliant.
they are.
everyone is a sort of talented.
I know, they must get so fed up
Oh,
of me
she's
pointing
so-
out the bleeding obvious. Like, oh, yes, of course. we'll look
It's
at
just as well though when you're this busy and this pressurised. Sometimes things like that can get missed,
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
and they're brilliantly fastidious. They don't.
Bless them.
And those wimples were a nightmare.
They were a nightmare,
weren't
yeah.
they?
Yeah, I remember that.
They're utter nightmare.
But they work.
Oh, they're brilliant. The
Yeah.
costumes are, it has to be said, are just wonderful.
The lovely Louise.
Yeah, Louise played our costume design.
The marvellous Sheila on makeup as well.
And the best thing she did on this episode was, do you remember, there were about 6 other cat nurses in the background who didn't have prosthetics, because we only had prosthetics for our 3 leading actresses. And Louise had realised that actually the cat face would give a different shape underneath the veil. They're always veiled, those people, so we can't see. They're just Cardiff extras. And she bought cat masks for them. So plastic
Halloween cat masks
underneath. And so when you see them floating past, you sometimes get a glimpse of a snout. It's brilliant. It works so well.
And you would have noticed a human face.
Oh, you completely would have
clever
noticed. Very clever.
Very clever.
A little bit of effects work.
The plot's picking up now.
It is. It's kicking off.
It was funny, these stories. You need 20 minutes to get everything in the right place, and then it's like battling tops. You pull the string and everything starts spinning. Off they go. She was strong, hauling you in there, tying you up into the tubes. And
maybe she made Chip do that.
Yes, Chip is lurking.
Yeah, Chip's lurking. It's great filming through that. That was just sort of improvised on the day. I think somebody went, we could shoot through these.
Oh,
yeah.
It was never the intention, and suddenly we realised.
No, you just could be talking to each other.
Yeah,
like on the phone almost.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's great.
That's clever.
It's great green, that, isn't it? It's so vivid. I think it's lovely
and sinister.
That's showtime. Do you know, we cut one bit of dialogue and I so wish we hadn't cut it, and I don't know why we cut it, which is. Now she says to the nuns, "My name is the Lady Cassandra Delta 17." The matron, one of the nurse cat nuns, you'll see in a minute pressing a little Palm Pilot. She actually looks up the name Lady Cassandra Delta 17, and who is on record as having died 23 years ago. So therefore they can kill her. Because the cats have sworn not to harm human beings.
And blah, blah.
I've got when we went to the. Do you know? It's one of those situations when we went to the first edit and it had been cut. And I was sitting there thinking, I wish they hadn't cut that, but I don't always say it out loud. Say everything out loud. I've never learned that motto.
Everything out loud.
Often. Possibly it's over slightly too long, but this episode isn't too long, is it?
No. We had that's the lady on the right. There's Donna Kroll, and we did have a prosthetic arm made with claws that popped out, and it was rubbish.
That's right.
So we had to ask the mill to do.
Have you got footage of the rubbish arm?
We've got footage of the rubbish arm somewhere. I don't even think I let them show it to you.
Was it not on the Russian?
Oh, it was appalling.
And some of these days, I mean, the teams of prosthetic artists we had in, because look at all these faces they had to do. I mean, each one of those took 90 minutes.
I think we had something like 10 prosthetic makeup artists on this show, and then also on some days we had another 4 people who augmented our regular 4 makeup artists. So I mean, it was enormous.
It was huge, yeah.
Because even like the people in the beds, the extras are red.
Every person, Russell. The cursing I did at you on this film in this episode. It was a.
We'll go back there next year. I fancy another trip to New York.
It was a night.
We are. Absolutely. I love it there
too.
Get some more cats in.
The flesh is free. I
You
directed
love
this
that
little
line.
bit.
Yes.
That tiny little bit. My directorial debut.
That's your favourite line, though, by the goddess Santori. The flesh is free.
Yeah. This is tricky to do. We had to, because obviously it had to be lined up.
Yeah.
The camera has to be locked off, so that means you can't film anything else with it.
Yes.
She has to go off for an hour and a half, have all her makeup reapplied, and come back and have a special mix and overlay monitor then that means we can put her in virtually the same pose in the same place, and mix between the two then, so we see her diseased and not diseased.
It was done sort of especially for Julie there, because I remember last year after we filmed The Empty Child, which was brilliant, but like about 6 months after we filmed it, Julie sort of went, "Oh, do you realise The Empty Child never touched anyone? You know, we had an infectious disease being carried, and you never actually saw someone being touched and transformed," which, you know, it's easy with hindsight to realise 6 months later.
Yeah.
And so it was a chance to like go back, all right, then let's do someone touching. It's always a good, here we go, here's another one.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, bless.
Oh.
This was all pickups and shot later.
Yeah.
This was all shot later.
Yes.
In different elements of it, shot within months apart as well, wasn't it? The woman was on green screen, and then the husband was in a different place, and
it was balmy.